Amen. Amen. You know, we do all kinds of things. Relax. We're at home. I see some new faces, but, you know, I never met a stranger here.
Amen. Amen.
It's a great day. And we're going to enjoy this. I don't think I'm going to have too many mentions of food this morning, Brother Gabe. But there's mentions of some stuff that is a little bit challenging, but rewarding.
Amen.
I looked at this lesson, and I don't question God for the lessons that he gives me and the messages that he sends through me, but I certainly welcome them. And as I understand them, I realize that it's not me, but it is thee. It is God that does this. But he told me to tell you and remind us that this very morning, we got up like we were in starting blocks, getting ready to run out to the world like we do every day. We have schedules and calendars. We look at clocks. We talk to people and we talk to friends and family, knowing that we're going to and fro, running fast, preparing for today, tomorrow, and next week, and even next year. We move like there is no ending of days. And sometimes we move right past things and don't see some things that are right in front of our face.
Amen.
So every once in a while, you'll see the title for today's message is Stop. Stop. Look and listen. When I was growing up, just a young fella, when I would go out to school, and maybe many of your parents did the same thing, maybe you're doing it with your children, you would tell them that I walked to school, to grade school. And my parents always said, when you're walking to school, Carl, first of all, be mindful of who you're walking to school with. But when you come to a street, when you get to a street and you're walking to school, you stop. You look both ways and you listen and then you proceed. Because it was their desire that I would get to school and back home safely.
Amen.
And they knew that I would get caught up in playing and running and in my life, and I might run out into the street.
Amen.
And we know the results of that. So in life, every once in a while, we hit a signpost. We have to have someone remind us that we're so busy and we're doing so well that we need to stop. We get caught up in work and in social activities. That's some things that happen and we don't see it, but we need to see it. The scriptural reference for today's lesson is taken from the book of Psalms. You don't have to open your Bibles. I'll tell it to you. The book of Psalms, the 46th Psalms, and the 10th verse. And the first half of that verse is, be still and know. Be still and know that I am God.
Amen.
Be still. You want to know who God is? Be still. Pay attention. And know that I am God. Let's see some fellas that were going to work. There were some Roman soldiers, legionnaires, dedicated to duty, knew that they had to obey their orders, and they became very good at the work that they did. These particular soldiers found themselves employed on a hill called Golgotha, the hill of the skull. And it was their assignment that when people were condemned by the Roman governor and brought there, they would nail them to a cross and crucify them. Mm-hmm. And it was their experience that every time they brought someone there to crucify them, they got good at what they were doing because they crucified them, they died and remained dead. Every one of them
Preach.
came there and they performed their duties. Dedicated to it, became so good at it, they began to take the belongings of the crucified, the condemned individuals, and they would gamble over their possessions. Mm-hmm. But one day,
All right. All right.
There came this carpenter from Nazareth. There came this carpenter from Nazareth up the same Villa della Rosa that all of the crucified, condemned individuals came up, all of the robbers, all of the convicted ones, all of the ones that would be crucified, killed, buried, and remain dead.
Speak, sir.
The whole world saw that if you went up on that hill, you didn't come back down alive.
Walk heavy, sir.
But this carpenter that they beat with the cat of nine tails, they scourged him. They ripped the flesh from his body. They embarrassed him before the people. They accused him wrongly. They drug him up the hill. And all of mankind caught up in their lives said, this person was an imposter. He called himself the King of the Jews. Mm-hmm. And the executioners nailed him to the 6x9 that he had brought up the hill, expecting that he would die and remain dead. But they needed to stop and look and listen from on high when God said, this is my beloved son. Amen. This one is. You can break his bones, but you can't kill him.
All right.
You can put him in a borrowed tomb, but he'll get up. They needed to stop, as we need to stop and realize that that carpenter was the Messiah.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
And if we just look, you can see God in him. And if you listen to what he said that if I be lifted up from this old earth, I will draw all men to me. Even as he was hanging on the cross, he said to the condemned, guilty thief next to him, this very day you'll be with me in paradise for his faith. Let me slow down here because I'm getting caught up in this. I'm looking and listening. There's a poem. It says, down the street you could hear her scream, you're a disgrace, as she slams the door in his drunken face. And all the neighbors start to gossip and drool. He cried, oh girl, you must be mad. What happened to the sweet love you and me had? And so castles made of sand melt into the seas eventually. There was a young brave who before he was 10 played war games in the woods with his Indian friends. He built a dream that when he grew up, he'd be a fearless warrior, Indian king. So many moons passed until his dream grew strong. Until tomorrow he would sing his first war song. But something went terribly wrong. Surprise attack killed him in his sleep that night. And so castles made of sand crash into the seas eventually. Finally, there was a young girl whose heart was a frown because she was crippled for life and could not speak a sound. And she wished and prayed that she could stop living. And she decided to die one day. So she drew her wheelchair to the edge of the shore, and to her legs she smiled, you won't hurt me no more. But then a sight she had never seen before made her leap and say, a golden winged ship is passing my way. And it really didn't even have to stop. And so castles made of sand flow into the seas eventually. That was Bob Dylan. But it speaks to all of us to stop. Don't just consider your condition. Consider the capabilities of God.
All right.
Listen to his word that he gives us in the scriptures and look for him. And those castles that seem like mountains will melt before your very eyes. There's another part of this that I'm going to share with you today, and I'm glad that I have your attention. because it's about my family. But it's also about the family of man. Growing up, I have two sisters. My oldest sister is, I believe, 5 years my senior. And then grew up in a loving family, praying family, believing family. My oldest sister got married and had a child, my first niece. And as things would have it, my niece grew. And we nurtured her, prayed over her, helped her, guided her, was there for her, and she grew and developed. She was beautiful. She is beautiful. And as things would have it, as we got caught up in being us and living our lives, my niece met this guy. I never knew him. But he promised her, I'll love you forever.
All right.
I'll walk with you and talk with you.
Heard that before, Reverend.
I'm the one. And as circumstances would have it, though we raised her in the church and loved her and nourished her and kept her, she found that she was now pregnant and not married.
Amen.
That happens. And we continue to love her. And as the baby came, he left. So now, my lovely niece that we loved and cared for is now a single mom and struggling through going to school, but in a family that loves her, that encouraged her, never condemned her, and that's the right thing to do. But continued on, and she rose above that condition and continued to work and to grow. And I felt so good about my niece. And the circumstances would have it, I had more nieces. And in talking to her, she told me, I met this guy that accepts me and my child. And I said, that's wonderful. Bring him to church.
Amen.
I don't know if she did, but I never saw him there. And as circumstances would have it, she's now pregnant again. Second child. Second father. Second sperm donor. And as the baby arrived, he disappeared. He said he would love her, be with her, and now she is a single mother with 2 children, working hard, attempting to go to college and working her way through things. Her Uncle Carl came and visited her and said, you know, you can get through this. I looked at her situation and didn't see her, got caught up in it. But she worked hard and pressed on. The family supported. And she got a little place, a little car. We've had these experiences, and she continued to grow. And just as we began to believe that everything was fine, living our lives, going to and fro, not paying attention, my brother called me and said, you know, I won't say her name, I think that she's pregnant again. And she, after I called her, she said, Uncle Carl, I don't know what I'm going to do. Yes, I am. I don't know what I'm going to do. I said, well, it'll be all right, baby. Just, we work through the other situation. We'll work through this one. Now there's 3 children, 3 fathers. But she's pregnant. The whole family's caught up now. The whole community is caught up now. And she feels ostracized and alone. We're stopping to look and listen. And she makes a decision. to go to have her pregnancy terminated. I'm not condemning anybody. Right? I understand now how people get caught up in this stuff. And she went to have this done unbeknownst to many of the family members and all of us. I'm not sure what we would have done anyway, because maybe there was something we could have done in advance. But she went forward with this. At this clinic, they were accustomed, like those Roman soldiers, that everybody that walked through that front door to have this procedure done, the pregnancy was terminated, and the person came out and went on with their lives. Nothing really changed that they could see. But during the procedure, she showed up and God showed up.
Amen. Thank you, Lord.
God said, the plans of men are not my plans. Unbeknownst to us, God had built the entire situation, the entire position, so that we could all stop and see him. That faithful day in that clinic, they performed the procedure. And that fetus was removed from her. And to their shock and our surprise, my great nephew breathed air, heart beat, feet moved, hands clenched, and was alive. They planned to terminate. God said life.
My.
They were professionals at terminating, but God said life. We thought in the midst of the madness of this whole thing that we knew the ultimate outcome, but God said life. Be still and know that I am God.
All right.
And not them. Be still and know. I'll show you that I'm God. And this little child, they immediately rushed her to the hospital, and the hospital put the child in an incubator. And on the way there, I'm told the people at the clinic, their lives were changed.
Amen.
Many of them couldn't perform those procedures anymore.
Praise God.
By the time I was deployed at the time, and I didn't get to see her or the child for a couple of months. But by the time I saw the child had just come out of being what they do with the preemies. And the doctor said that the child was born blind and nearly deaf.
Amen.
And they wondered why he didn't cry much. But when I saw him, he would just coo. And I was like, what is this? He said, well, he can perceive that when family members are close by, and he just rolled his head, and everybody in the hospital, they go to see him, they talk about him, and they go check on him, and they all tell a story about him.
Yes.
He's affecting people in the hospital, and he's blind and deaf, and he can barely move, breathing air, and make simple little sounds of cooing. Can't say a word to them, but they see God in him, and he's affecting all of their lives.
Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord.
And he laid there with his tender little body, experiencing life at an accelerated rate. And 1 month goes by, 2 months go by, and he continues to coo. When he comes close to his mother, he just would light up. And I got a phone call about 6 months in. You know, it's funny, you get some phone calls and you know the outcome of the call when the phone rings.
Amen.
God puts it on your heart, you know.
Amen.
They named him Destiny because he was affecting the destiny of so many lives. Couldn't talk,
Amen.
couldn't see. But they said he woke up that morning of the phone call. People had gathered around to see him as they did daily. His little eyes opened up and he began to coo. Rolled his head over towards his mother and he died. He lived more in 6 months and affected more lives in 6 months than most will ever do in 60 years because he stopped. And he showed God to the world.
My.
And they listened to him cooing. And they could hear the voice of God saying, I am here for you. It doesn't matter what the world is doing. I am here for you. I know you're struggling. I know they see you as a preemie. I know they see you as something that can't exist in this world, but I'm here for you.
My.
And your life will be special.
Okay.
And in everybody here today, you're like little Destiny.
Speak, sir.
God is moving in your life. He knows you. And if you, in your heart of hearts, you can say now, I've had the same experience.
Yes, Lord.
I know when they had given up hope.
Amen.
I know when they said to me, you're not going to make it. Every other one we've seen in this circumstance has gone down the wrong road. But something came along named Jesus Christ that took you down the right road.
All right.
To turn your situation around.
Glory to God. Preach, sir.
Blessed be the name of God.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Stop. Look and listen and know. Don't just think. Know that it's God. The doctors in the hospital said, I don't know how he came forward and lived. But I see that he did.
But God.
I see that God moved in this circumstance. And he's moved in your circumstance. And things will happen in your life from this day forward. And God will move on those circumstances also. You ask me, say, Carl, how do you know? Reverend, how do you know he's going to move? Yes, it's a wonderful story. Yes, it's an excellent account of events. But how do you know he's going to move? Well, I can tell you how I know he's going to move, not just because of destiny, because I'm a destiny.
My Lord, my Lord, yes. My Lord.
Because I'm a destiny. Y'all don't know it, but I had surgery 2 weeks ago. And God moved in the hands of the surgeons. But not just that, he gave me an attitude and a spirit that says, it's all right.
It's all right, brother.
I don't know what you're going through today. But God is saying to you, when you stop, look, and listen, the words you will hear, it's all right. It is well with me.
Yes.
And it is well with my soul.
Yes, Lord.
Amen.
Okay, come on, Jesus. Come on, Jesus. It is well with me.
Yes.
It's well with my soul. Whatever it is in life that when you leave here, you're going to be struggling with, it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right.
My Lord.
It is going to be all right. Let me tell you again, it's going to be all right.
It's going to be all right.
I'm not guessing, I know that. It's going to be all right because you've chosen Jesus Christ.
Yes.
So it's going to be all right. No matter what happens, it's going to be all right.
Yes.
You're going to be like a little Destiny. You're going to roll your head from side to side smiling even though you can't see how the next way is going to be made. You can't hear your relief, but you know it's going to be all right. And at the appropriate time, you'll roll your head to the side and say, I'm giving up the ghost. Just like between the 6th and the 9th hour, Jesus Christ hanging from the cross said, it is finished. It is finished. For all of us, it is finished. He went into the grave and conquered death. It is finished.
My God.
This is an uplifting message this morning.
Yes.
I worked on this thing, and God just, as I prayed with me and moved me through it. He told me just to come and tell you, listen, look, stop, and you're going to get more than you could ever imagine.
My God, my God.
Listen, look, and stop, And you'll get more than you ever imagined. The rapper said, stop what you're doing because I'm about to ruin the image and the style that you used to. The world don't have nothing for you. The world has nothing for you. But God has everything.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
Be still and know that I am the Lord.